So back in 2023, the Texas Rangers crossed their name off the list of MLB teams that hadn't won a World Series, finally getting it done after 2 letdowns in the early 2010s. And as of making this video heading into the 2025 season, 25 of the 30 MLB franchises have won a World Series, and 29 of the 30 have been to a World Series, with one never making it before, meaning that there's still 5 teams in the league that have yet to make a World Series or have yet to win a World Series, although some have come close. I'm basically just going to take a look at these 5 teams and kind of give you my opinion of who I think has the best chance to win one first, kind of the order I think they're going to win them in. So we're going to start with the team that I think has the worst chance right now to the best chance currently. So to start it off, we have a team that had one fantastic month that led to them getting to the World Series.
Check swing roller. Tulowitzki. Colorado's the National League champion.
So in 2007, Rocktober struck the baseball world as the Rockies, who were 76-72 heading into the final 2 weeks of the season, pulled out a 13 wins in 14 game stretch to set up a game 163 with the San Diego Padres, and of course going down as one of the classic games of all time. The Rockies won in extras 9-8, and at 90-73 they were going to the playoffs for just the second time in the team's history. And well, let's just say things looked like it was gonna go their way. Maybe they're going to make a magical run, because in the first round of the playoffs, the divisional round, they swept the NL East champion Philadelphia Phillies in 3 games. And then going into the NLCS, the surprise Arizona Diamondbacks, who at 90-72 were the NL's #1 seed, were going in against these red-hot Rockies. And what did the Rockies do? Well, they swept those Diamondbacks. However, their magic ran out in the World Series as they got swept by the Red Sox themselves. And since then, the Rockies haven't come close, only winning really one playoff game, that being the wild card game, years back at this point, and kind of failing to be a consistent franchise in itself. And with the position that they're in right now, they always seem to have talent on offense. I mean, Ezekiel Tovar, Ryan McMahon, Brenton Doyle, those guys have immense talent, but the pitching isn't great, and they're really so far away from a championship that's why I think that they're probably number 5 of the teams that haven't won a World Series yet to get one. I think they'll be one of the last ones to get it, unless they make some sort of miracle run like they did in 2007. I don't know, but for now, you can't really trust the Rockies to go anywhere. They're probably going to lose close to 100 games again, or over 100 games, and a World Series for them could still be decades down the road. The next team I'm going to be talking about has actually made it to 2 World Series, and has actually made it to one within the past 5 years. That being the Tampa Bay Rays.
On the first pitch in the air, right field, that is playable. Coming in, Margot, and that's it. The Tampa Bay Rays have won the American League pennant.
Are one of just 2 teams that have been to multiple World Series and have yet to win one. They made it in 08 with a magical run sort of similar to that of the Colorado Rockies, where after their first 10 years from 1998 to 07 as the Devil Rays, they just couldn't stay out of the basement. They couldn't win more than 70 games, but all of a sudden they were able to win 97 games after dropping the devil out of their name.
You need Jesus!
And making a magical Cinderella run to the World Series, where they ran into the Philadelphia Phillies, and they lost that one in 5 games.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
It would take the Rays a while to get back to the World Series. Not to say that after 08 the team got worse. Actually, to the contrary, the team started to consistently go to the playoffs, but it wouldn't be until the COVID-shortened 2020 season that the team would get back, as in a 60-game season because of COVID shutting everything down for a while. The Rays had the American League's best record at 40-20, and they got all the way to the ALCS, where it looked like they were going to sweep the Astros away up 3-0, but the Astros pulled out a comeback and forced a Game 7, but luckily the Rays didn't do what the Yankees did in 2004. They were able to win Game 7 and go to their second ever World Series, where they ran into the Dodgers. And things were kind of going okay for a while. The series was tied at 2, and it looked like the Rays could get things done, but because of Kevin Cash pulling Blake Snell after only throwing like 70 pitches through 6 innings, things started to go downhill. The team would then lose this series in 6 games, and they've had a couple of nice seasons since then, including a 99-win season and a 100-win season to go along with this, but these 2 times have been the closest the Rays have come to the World Series, and I would dare say in 2020, they could have won it if they managed things better. The reason I have them at second to last for, getting to win a World Series before these other teams is because after the year they had last year, they're going to be back to retooling and trying to figure things out, which is something they're usually good at. They might not be great for a year or 2, but they might have things back up and running very, very soon because that's just how they work, being this small market team. They've come so close so many times. They've been to the playoffs a lot. They've won the division a lot in a tough AL East. So it's nothing new for them, but I think that's another reason I have them so low on this list is because they play in the AL East. The Orioles are now a juggernaut, the Yankees are the Yankees, and the Red Sox look like they're going to be back up at the top too. So right now the Rays kind of seem like the 4th or 5th best team in that division. So until they start, winning like they were just a couple years ago, the Rays might take a while to even get back to the World Series, let alone win one. So the team that I have third on the list that could win a World Series probably soon is the only other team that has been to multiple World Series and has not won one, that being the San Diego Padres.
Long run for Finley. The Padres are going to the 1998 World Series.
Of those 9 games that they played in, they only won 1 of those 9, losing in 5 to the Tigers in '84 and being swept by the Yankees in 1998. Now, Padres did face 2 of the best teams in baseball history. I think the Tigers won 104 games that year and the Yankees won 114, so it's not like the Padres were big favorites heading into these World Series. It was to the contrary, considering 1984 was the first time the team ever made the postseason and they were able to win it, and 1998 was just the 3rd time they ever made the postseason, and the 98 win season that year has been the best by the team in their history. They have come close. In 2022, they made it to the NLCS where they lost in 5 to the Phillies, and they've been able to go to the playoffs, as after 1998 they would go to the playoffs in 05-06, endure a drought until going in 2020, 2022, and of course last year in 2024 as well. So this is a team that has now gone to the playoffs many times, but I do feel like their window is closing very soon. If they don't make a run this year, then things might look tough going down the line, but because they become a small market team that's become more willing to spend money and make trades, they look like they could, be a contender for a while. Even if they don't win it this year, they might do a retooling, not a full rebuild, which means that they might still be able to stay competitive. But for now, they're still in a strong position, mainly because they got a great offense and a couple of guys at the top of that rotation that are really good, and a bullpen that, is tough to hit against. So the team that I think has the second best odds to win a World Series first before these other teams that haven't are the Milwaukee Brewers.
Ball lined to out, it's short, he throws, it's over! The Brewers have won the American League pennant!
Actually have made the World Series 1 time. That was back in 1982, and that was when they were a member of the American League. They've been in the National League since 1998, and they've only been to the playoffs a handful of times, as after 1982 they would go on a 26-year playoff drought, would go into playoffs in 08 and 2011 before going back on a drought, but have recently, I think in 6 of the last 7 years, have made the playoffs. And even after last year, when a lot of people thought that they were going to falter, they won the NL Central again and got back to the playoffs. This is a team that has so much young talent, and the way they do things is almost kind of similar to what the Tampa Bay Rays do, and I think the Brewers have had a lot more success with that than the Rays have recently, and I think they're in a great position. I mean, we know their lineup is going to be dangerous. The pitching has a little bit of question marks, but it's still solid. It's not bad. And yes, they did trade away Devin Williams, but they always seem to find the next closer. I mean, they went from John Axford to Josh Hader to Devin Williams to now it's supposed to be Abner Uribe. The Brewers just have what it takes, and I think Pat Murphy being their manager also helps, because it seems like he knows what he's doing, as in his first year with the team projected to finish 4th or last place, winning 93 games and winning the NL Central kind of gives you some hope and whatnot, as the Padres could win their first National League pennant very soon and could very well get their first World Series title very soon as well. So, the team that I think could win the World Series first out of these 5 teams. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that 29 of the 30 MLB franchises have been to the World Series at least one time. Yeah, the Seattle Mariners are the team that we're talking about, and they are the only active franchise that hasn't been to a World Series.
Swing and a foul tip into the glove of Dan Wilson, who hangs on to it. And no baseball team in history has ever won more games than the Seattle Mariners.
They've been around since 1976, and again, they've had their close calls. They made the ALCS in 1995 and 2000 and 2001, but they've only been to the playoffs one time since then, and that was a magical season in 2022. And although 2023 and 2024 weren't bad, they were competitive, they've had a problem with offense the past couple of years because their rotation is probably the best in baseball, considering 4 of the 5 guys in their rotation are homegrown, that being George Kirby, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, and Logan Gilbert, and then having Luis Castillo in there, a veteran pitcher who's still pitching well into his early 30s. They know that their pitching is going to be what carries them. They just need to get some semblance of offense out there. Now, they did have a quiet offseason this year, and I do think if guys like Randy Arozarena, Cal Raleigh, and Julio Rodriguez have better starts to their seasons, I think their offense is going to get better, and I think the Mariners are still set up to end that drought very soon of maybe not winning a World Series, but just getting to one. I mean, they have so much talent there, especially in the pitching depth, that I feel like wasting this now would be a huge mistake. But again, I know they didn't do much in the offseason to help the offense out, so who knows? They can either be really good or really bad, but as long as they have those 5 guys in the rotation, they're going to be competitive. It's just, can the offense step up enough for them to be able to win a good bit of games and potentially get to a World Series and win one, something the franchise has not done in their almost 50-year history to this point. So yeah, that's it for me. Out of the 5 teams that haven't won a World Series, I rank them in order from least likely to win it first to likely to win it first. I'd really like to see, what would your list look like from 1 to 5, 1 being, oh yeah, they're going to be the first to win it of these 5, to 5 being, they're probably going to be the last one to win a World Series on this list. Let me know what your list looks like, because it's probably going to differ from mine, because you might have a better take on these teams because you might be a fan of them, or maybe you just think that they're in better shape than the other teams I had ranked ahead of the other ones. I don't know, but yeah, that's it for me. Stay safe out there, and until then, I will catch you all in the next one.